my friends, the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going way back to 1893, to Chicago in fact, where the big World's Fair was there. We're going to be looking at different crazy attractions and exhibits on the Midway. So we are looking at World's Fair. 1893 for 2 to 4 players, takes about a half hour to play. This is from Foxtrot Games and Renegade Game Studios. Today we're going to do a rule school. I'm going to help you be able to just set up the game and play the game rule for rule without having to read the rule book. Now I'm going to give you a 1-minute overview of how the game's played and then get into the setup and rules, so let's take a look. In World's Fair 1893, you're going to be going to different sections of the World Fair, like agriculture or the electricity center, transportation, fine arts, or manufacturing. And as you go there, you're going to be gathering different tickets. Some cards are essentially exhibits that you're trying to get approved into certain areas, like the electricity area. Other tickets are Midway, which are basically money for you because you've gotten them to go to the mile-long place where many exhibits were. Other influential figures allow you to use special abilities, which allow you to place more cubes into different certain areas. All at the same time, you're trying to control certain areas by having more cubes than others. As Midway tickets are gone, it's a clock for the game and things will move around and things will start to score. When scoring, you can make money from having the most Midway tickets, and you'll get money for each Midway tickets. Money's points. You'll also be winning awards for how good you did first or second place in trying to be the best in certain areas, and that will also allow you to turn in certain cards of those areas that you've already gotten for approval tokens of those areas. And at the end of the game, you're trying to also collect sets, unique sets of different colors for more and more points. And over the course of the 3 scoring rounds, you're trying to get the most money and points to be the winner of World's Fair 1893. Now the first thing you do when you set up is you're going to place the Ferris wheel. It does not have a top to start, and we want to pay attention to which side you're placing down. For example, here you see this is for 3 or 4 players. On the other side it says 2 for 2 players. Put on down the side that you're playing with. Today we're going to play with 3 players, so this is the side we'll put out. Then you'll grab the top of the Ferris wheel and put it in. Again, paying attention to the player numbers. We're playing with 3 players today. This says 2 or 3 players on this side. The other side says 4 players. So make sure on both the top and the middle of the Ferris wheel, it has the amount of players that you're playing with. Next, there are 5 area tiles, and you're just going to randomly place them around the Ferris wheel so that all 5 of them are all around the Ferris wheel. And again, it's random and different every game. Just sort of shuffle them up and put them in like this. There's electric, transportation, fine arts, manufacturing, and agriculture. Next, you're going to take the token that has the basically the Ferris wheel car, put it at the bottom, and you're going to take this red round marker and you're going to place it on round number 1. Now for 2 players, you're going to take the deck of cards that come in the game, and you're going to take out 6 cards. One of them will be a Midway card. These are sort of purplish in print color. It says Midway attraction here, and they say admit 1. You're going to take out any 1 card that's a Midway card. You're also going to take out 5 other cards, 1 of each of the areas that we just put around. So randomly take out 1 electric card, which is yellow, 1 fine arts, which is red, 1 blue, that is transportation, 1 green, that's agriculture, and 1 gray, that is manufacturing. If you're playing with 4 players, you'll take out a total of 9 cards. 5 of those will be the purple Midway cards, and the other ones will be influential figures. You'll take out 1 Bertha Palmer card, 1 George Davis card, and 2 Daniel Burnham cards. If you're playing with 3 players, you do not have to take out any cards out of the deck. You can just take it as is. Next, you can separate out the different scoring tokens. There are medals of 4 and 2 points and coins of 2 and 1 points, and you can separate them out and leave them off to the side of the board. You can also set apart the different exhibit approval tokens. These are the different logos and colors of the different areas that we've placed around the Ferris wheel at the beginning of the game. Now from the deck of cards that you've constructed, you will put face up 2 cards in front of every area of the 5 areas in the World's Fair. Next, each player will choose a color and take all 22 supporter cubes from each color. In this case, we're playing with 3 players, so the color that's not being used can be removed and placed back in the box. Each player will take one cube of their color and place it in one of the 5 areas, so everybody has one cube in each area. Next, you'll randomly determine the start player. In this case, it's going to be purple, and then clockwise it goes blue and then yellow sitting around the table. You'll look at these start bonus cards. On one side it says actions, on the other side it says start bonus. You'll give the player 1 card to the first player, player 2 to the second player, player 3 gets the third player, and since there's no 4th player, we will take this one out and put it back in the box. Each of these players get a small little bonus to start the game. For example, this player gets to place one of his purple cubes in this area of manufacturing. They get to place 1 in each of those, and they get to place 1 in each of those. So based on those start placements, this is how the areas might look based upon what we've shown so far to start the game. Lastly, there are 4 scoring phase cards. You'll keep the one that actually has the step-by-step scoring out by the board so you can refer to it later, and you'll use only one of these cards depending on the amount of players that are here. In this case, we're playing with 3 players, so the 2 and 4 player score phase cards can go out and into the box. You won't need them for this game, so here we're just having the 2 scoring phases and put those near the board where everyone can see. Now we're ready to start the game. All the players' first turns go like this. You're going to take one of your supporters and you're going to place them in one of these 5 areas. In this case, I'm going to pick agriculture. So I'm going to put my supporter there. Anytime you put your supporter in there, you're going to grab all of the cards that are in that area. In this case, there is a midway card and an influential figure card. I would just collect both of these and put them in front of me face up so everyone can see. So these would just go in front of me. I'll tell you what these do in just a moment. Anytime you take any midway cards, as you take them, you move the car up 1. So I took 1 midway car, I'd move it 1. If I had taken 2, I would move it 2. Once this midway car gets all the way back to the end, it will stop, and then we will finish scoring for the first round. This is sort of a clock for the game. After you've taken your cards, you're going to take 3 cards off the top of the deck, always 3, and you're going to place them in clockwise motion, always starting with the place that you placed your supporter in. So we're going to place 1 here, we're going to place 1 here, and we're going to place 1 here because it goes clockwise. Now notice that some of these, all of them actually, all these areas have a limit as to how many cards. This one has 4 because it has 4 icons there. This one only has 3. This one only has 4. Now let's say on the next player's turn, they take a supporter and they place 1 here. Well, they'll take this card like normal and they'll move the midway up like normal. Now, they're going to be placing 3 cards and they're going to start here. Now this one already has 3, and because it's full, it would get skipped to this one, and then this one would receive its 4th and final card, and then this one would also receive a 3rd card, which would kind of fill this area up. Now the first round of everyone's turns was pretty easy. We placed a supporter cube, we collected the cards, and then we dealt the card from the top of the deck 3 cards in clockwise manner. Now after the first round of the game, the rules can change just a little bit. When we place a support cube now, let's say this purple player places it here, before you collect the cards, you see if you have any influential figure cards from your very last turn. And if you remember, I took George Pullman in the first round. So in my next turn, I have to use this. You cannot save these for later. I've placed my cube. Before I collect cards on my next turn, if I have a figure in front of me, I must do the action. This basically says I must place one of my cubes in the blue transportation area. And these are the different symbols that are on there with my action cards. Some of them will have you add one to the area that you've just placed to. Some of them will say add a supporter to an adjacent area. Some of them will say you can move any supporter to any other area, and this is basically yours or an opponent's. And this one says to a specific area, which is this one. In this case, I would place one of my support cubes in the blue transportation area because that's what this card said to do. I would then discard this into the discard pile, and then I would take the cards of my original placement, which was here, and then like normal, we would set the cards up 3 cards. 1, 2, which then fills this group up. This group's already full, and then we'll come up and fill this one up. And that's pretty much how it works when you have an influential figure in front of you. When using those influential figures, adjacent, when you're placing a cube adjacent, this area is not adjacent to this area, but this area is only adjacent to, say, this one. If there are multiple ones next to you, for example, this red area is adjacent to both of these, but this is not adjacent to this because it doesn't go through the Ferris wheel. And just to recap this one, when you move any supporter, if I, purple, had placed this, I can take a blue one and move it away to somewhere else. Those are how the turn works. Now remember, these are going up every time for every one midway card that's taken. And when it gets here, even if you've taken more than the amount to get here, this always stops here. Whoever causes the stop puts this in front of them to let them remember at the beginning of the next round who starts, which is the player after them. And then we'll do a scoring round. At this point, you'll follow the step-by-step scoring phase card. First, we'll move the round marker from playing to scoring for round 1. Next, we will count and score the midway cards. Everyone counts out however many midway cards they have in front of them. I have 2, but let's say someone else had 3. The person who has the most gets 2 coins for a bonus. Then, in addition to that, everybody else, including that player who got the bonus, gets 1 coin for each of their midway cards. So I would get 2 coins, and then these would be discarded into a discard pile. After scoring the midway, we then score each area in clockwise successively around the Ferris wheel. Let's start with electric because it's the first one going clockwise. We see purple has 3 cubes and blue has 2, so purple wins because they have the most. For the 3-player scoring phase, we have first place gets a 4-point medal, which they will put in front of them, and they can make up to 3 electric cards, because that's the area they won, approved. So again, they get this 4-point medal. Now, at the end of the game, points and coins are all the same. They're all sort of just points at the end of the game. So I can approve up to 3 of them. These are the cards I've grabbed during the round, and these are proposed. These are things I'm trying to propose to get into these areas, these exhibits. Now, because I won, I can approve up to 3 of them. I have 2. So I'll take these 2 cards to get them approved. I just discard them, and for each one I've been able to approve, I get a token of those, and this is what you're going to be completing for end game scoring. And speaking of discarding cards, when the last card is used and that you need to get more cards, you can simply shuffle the discard pile and make a new draw pile. You would then do this scoring for all the other areas going clockwise as I just showed you. Second place, in this case, would get a 2 medal, and they would be able to approve 1 of the electric. Now, if the 2 players were tied for first, or multiple players are tied for first, each of them get to just approve up to 2 and get a 2 medal, but you do not score second place. And that's how this is. So you follow that language on the card. You do that for all the areas, then you would recall supporters. And you do that by going through each area, and for every person, every 2 cubes you have, you remove 1. So I would remove 1 here, I remove 1 here. These are not 2 here, I'd remove 1 here. I would remove 1 of those here. I would remove 1 and 1. So it's just for every 2, you remove 1 of each color. Another way of thinking of it is you always remove half of every color rounded down. Those cubes don't get eliminated out of the game. They're placed back in the pile for that player to be used in future rounds. The player who ended the round will now place it back here to start the next round. They'll move this to round 2. And the player that ended the last round, basically the player clockwise to their left, will start the next round. Play will continue for round 2 until this gets back around. We'll do another scoring, and we'll start again. We'll do another round. Once this gets back here, we'll do another scoring, and we will do the final end game scoring. At the end of the game, after you've done the 3rd round scoring, you basically just count everything up. All of the medals are worth face value. All of the coins are worth face value, because coins and medals are just points. And then you line up all of the influence tokens that you got from the different areas, and you line them up so that sort of they're in sets of different kinds. So just like in the board shows here, we have 1 of each. If you have 1 of each of those, you get 15 points for this row. In this case, I have 3 different ones, so I would get 6 points. You don't have to put them in this order, but so if you only have 1, it's 1 point. 2 of them, it's 3. 3 of them, it's 6. 4 of them, it's 10. 5 of them, it's 15. So this row is 15 because I got all 5. This row I have 3 of them, so I get 6 points. In this row, I only have 2 of them, so it's 3 points. So it's 3, 6, and 15. I would add those to all my points. That's my total score. Whoever has the most is the winner. If there's a tie, the person who has the most of these area influence tokens wins. If there's still a tie, the player with the fewest amount of these unapproved exhibit cards in front of them will be the winner. If it's still tied, you share the victory. Well, I hope this rule school helped you dive into the game without having to read the rules and get a good feeling of it of your first time through. If you have questions about the rules, go ahead and leave them as comments in this YouTube video, and I'll do the best I can to answer them.